Hello, everyone. Welcome into episode 39 of the Four Quarters podcast powered by Four Quarters Media. I'm your host, Tyler Bennett, here with you once again. Episode 39 marks the start of our season 2 finale week. And before we get into the interviews and everything else, small error, I guess, on my end, a lack of realization, if you will. I use Adobe After Effects to put everything together. Realized it only allows you to do 3 hours max in a video. That doesn't cut it for this week's episodes. So we had to adjust on the fly. We're going to release each interview in its own parts 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, whatever the day brings. So it's all going to be one kind of feature show. You're going to hear this intro on every one of episode 39's interviews, so apologies in advance. But all the content is going to be there for you. You can pick and choose who you want to listen to at any given time and go from there. We start off on episode 39. We go with CCAA Men's Basketball Spotlight Show. On all 4 days this week, Monday to Thursday, we are going cross country, men's and women's basketball, talking to as many guests, as many coaches as we can. And on the men's basketball show today, 4 of the 5 leagues will be represented. We unfortunately had all of our media requests to the RSEQ in Quebec go unanswered, which is fine, which is okay. No hard feelings at all by any means. 2020 has been a year. Things happen, things come up. People aren't in the office. People aren't even working at the moment. Who knows what circumstances the individuals are under that I reached out to. We'll continue to try and get more Quebec content on the podcast in season 3 when the new year rolls around. But still, 4 fantastic guests on the CCAA Men's Basketball Spotlight Show. And depending on which episode you're on right now, you're going to have a fantastic guest to listen to. In part 1, we start on the East Coast in the ACAA. We chat with St. Thomas Tommies men's basketball head coach John Hickey. We look at everything from his career coming back to St. Thomas. We look at the lengthy high school career he's had at Leo Hayes prior to returning to St. Thomas, where he was a student to start with and then came back to obviously coach the men's basketball program. We looked at his transition, how it's been taking over the program, and kind of what went into last season into his coaching approach and how he adjusted to life as a head coach at the collegiate level. If you're on part 2, you're going to hear from Lambton Lions men's basketball head coach James Grant from the OCAA, a person I work with either right next door or right down the hall, depending where we are on any given day. We look at the basketball community in Sarnia-Lambton, and we look at how over time and throughout history that's become more and more ingrained in generations of families all across the city and the county, for that matter. And we looked at what that means to Coach Grant, to the men's basketball program at Lambton, and Lambton College as a whole. And he started the interview with a unique arrival story of one Mike Lucier. And we talked about how Lucier went from one of the more unique entrances on day 1 of tryouts to closing his 5-year career as arguably one of the best to ever wear a Lambton jersey. So that was an interesting story. And then if you're on part 3 right now, you'll be hearing from Nate Ooks men's basketball head coach Slav Kornick. Coach Slav and I, we discussed his journalism career, which followed his time at NAIT as a student, similar career trajectory, if you will, as Coach Hickey out of St. Thomas. We looked at Coach Cornick's return to NAIT and how his adjustment went with returning to the institution where he was a student, and how the dynamic has changed for him now coming back as a head coach for the program that he played for as a student athlete. And we also looked at the challenges and the positives that came with taking over the men's basketball program at NAIT, where he sees the program going and kind of what he wants the program to embody on a daily basis. And then if you're on part 4, you're going to hear from our Pac West featured guest, head coach Cassidy Kannemeyer from the Capilano Blues. Coach Kannemeyer makes his return to the podcast. He was back on June 8th as we opened season 2, actually. So it's been a few months since Coach Kannemeyer has been on the show. We had a lot of optimism the first time around that there would be some sort of 2019 or 2020-21 season, if you will. That's not the case anymore. So we can do a follow-up, if you will, with Coach Kannemeyer. We look at kind of what the last 5 months have been like for him, how things have gone with the team, with the recruiting class. They've announced more recruits since we last talked, so he gave us a rundown on all the new faces that the Blues have this year and just kind of what they're hoping for in the new year when it comes to workouts, to player development, to a new season in 2021-22. We just follow up on the first episode and pick up where we left off and just had a great chat, all in all. So whether you're on part 1 or part 3 right now, or part 4 or part 2, you're in for a good interview. Let's just say that. There's a lot of information, a lot of nuggets of wisdom from the coaches, none of which come from me. I just want to clarify that now. If you're coming into this expecting some sort of wisdom from myself, sorry to disappoint. You are here for the wrong reason, because I leave that to the trained professionals. But with that all said, let's jump right in to whatever part of episode 39 that you are on now, between myself and the guest listed on the subject line of this episode. Enjoy. All right, so as we kick off our CCAA men's basketball Cross Canada Spotlight Show, we start on the East Coast in the ACAA, now joined by St. Thomas Tommies men's basketball head coach, John Hickey. And Coach, I want to thank you first off for taking your time to do this. How are things with everything going on the East Coast? How are things with you, the family, the team, everything you've got going on out there?
Oh, and thank you for having me, Tyler. I'm happy to be on. I'm excited to chat. Yeah, I mean, things are as good as they can be,
right,
in Fredericton right now, where we just got kind of bumped back a stage,
right,
because we've got a couple of cases. So people are a little bit stressed, but we're in as good a spot as anybody, obviously.
Right. That's what we were saying before we jumped on, that the East Coast has been very proactive with their approach to dealing with the pandemic. And like you said at the start, kind of putting the restrictions in early, and it was status quo for a while. And you see other parts of the country now being more reactive to the cases climbing at an alarming rate. I mean, yeah, the stress is there now, being obviously moved to the orange stage and kind of having to roll things back a bit. But I'd rather be stressed over a few cases and kind of be in a better position to get it under wraps than you see your counterparts in Alberta and Ontario just kind of doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd rather get on top of it early,
Hmm.
make a couple of sacrifices early,
Right.
and then hopefully we can get back to as close to normal as quick as possible.
Right. And like we said too before, with Christmas around the corner, we want to kind of have as close to a normal Christmas as we can, because nothing's normal anymore, not even close. But if you can kind of nip it early, get the few cases under control, there may be the potential to have more than 5-10 people at a Christmas gathering, which I think that's the way a lot of places are heading now. It's just your household and you don't see anybody else, and no one wants that for the holidays.
Yeah, no, nobody wants that. So hopefully everybody will be in a good spot. There's no question.
Just people need to do their part, stay home, only go out if they have to, follow the restrictions. It goes without saying, but it
Well, yeah, let's listen to the people who study this stuff.
right.
Let's
Like,
listen to the experts.
they're trained professionals. This is what they
That's right.
do. This is why they have the jobs they do. They may know a little bit about what they're talking about. So, maybe listen in once in a while. It's not
They don't question me on stuff that's going on with St. Thomas basketball, so
exactly.
I try to not question them on their stuff.
If they say that this is serious, which clearly people should know by now it is. If they say stay home, oh, okay, I'll stay home. I'll wear a face
That's right.
mask. I'll wear a covering. I'll wash my
Yeah.
hands. I'll do what they tell me to do. I'm not just going to go off and go all rogue and do whatever else they do the opposite. Because
No, that's right.
if like you said, if they came into your job and said, "Why are you doing this? Like, why are we doing this?" It's because
Right.
it's what we do. It's kind
That's
of
right.
our job to do it. So
Yeah.
just listen. It's not that
That's
hard.
right. We'll let them do their job.
Again, that for some people that's much easier said than done. They're just kind of stuck in their ways, and you can't take their freedom from them. So
Well, to each their own.
to each their own.
Yeah.
Kind of want to start off. Want to look at kind of your career and kind of put St. Thomas kind of in the spotlight as a whole, as an institution, as a basketball program. Because for you earned your bachelor's of education in 2011, and then came back as a head coach. Was that kind of weird for you to return to St. Thomas? I know you're in the Fredericton area, so you're familiar with everything. But was that weird for you to come back as a head coach this time and not as a student?
No, actually, it was great for me. I really enjoyed it. I was there for a year at St. Thomas doing my education degree,
Mhm.
and made a lot of great friends. Had great experience there. Um, so yeah, I was excited when the possibility came up to be able to get involved with St. Thomas a little bit more.
Was that
And
was that
again,
yeah? And again, was that always a goal for you to kind of stay connected and kind of return uh, to St. Thomas if the opportunity kind of presented itself, or was that just kind of like a perfect storm? Now is the right time. The opportunity came at the right moment, kind of thing.
um, I've always talked about or thought about trying to coach at higher levels.
Mhm.
Um, it's exciting to do things at a good level,
Right.
and if you can do things well, um, and it challenges you, that's great.
Right.
Um, as far as was it the right time, I don't know if it was or not because I was coming off a heart attack when I applied.
Oh, damn.
So
Okay.
so I had a heart attack in March and applied for the St. Thomas gig in April
Yeah.
and got it. So I'm not sure. I'm not worked out.
Yeah. I was gonna
So
say, yeah. So you
I
go
had a lot
from.
of time to put my I had a lot of time to put my application together and my presentation together.
I
So,
was gonna say because
but yeah, it was.
you got the job on April 17th. So that's when they announced it anyways. So you go from a heart attack in March to getting the job in April.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it's a pretty quick turnaround, eh? Yeah. No, yeah. That's what happened. So, but yeah, I was actually refereeing the ACAA tournament when I went
Okay.
to the hospital. So I've kind of always been in the middle of ACAA and the AUS through refereeing.
Hmm.
So yeah, I did have aspirations to do it as a coach every now and then, for sure.
Yeah. And then like before that, like, you spent, I believe it was 15 years at Leo Hayes. So you're kind of just ingrained in that kind of Fredericton kind of basketball scene. And then, like you said, refereeing kind of, so you have the ins and outs of the ACAA already. And that is just kind of a whirlwind, 2 months or 3 months or whatever it was. You go from health issues to a new position, and it's just kind of a lot to take in a small window.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly an eventful couple of months.
That's a good
There's
way to put it. Yeah.
there's no question. Weighing whether it was the right decision um, for me personally,
Hmm.
for the program, for the coaches who were going to be involved. But after having conversations with some people, my doctors obviously,
Hmm.
and yeah, I decided to give it a shot.
What?
I mean, I've been super fortunate with and at Leo Hayes
Mhm.
and in all of my coaching with the coaches that I've had around me. Oh man, I've had some pretty incredible people around me for years and years.
Yeah, and I had Mark Forward from the Mount on the women's one, which will come
Yeah.
out the day after this, and we were talking about kind of the head coaches kind of get a lot of the attention, but there's a lot of people behind it around them that kind of help kind of shape the head coach and who they are. And I don't think those, like the support crew and the coaches that have kind of helped, like you just mentioned, all the coaches you've had
Yeah.
around you, they don't get that level of respect and attention that they deserve, because they do have such an impact on the head coaches and kind of guiding people along. And to hear you kind of say that, like, it's the same thing. Like, there's so many fantastic people and hard work from so many go into kind of making a coach who they are.
Yeah, I say all the time, I'm smart enough to know I'm stupid, right? So I try to bring people in who know. Oh, most of our coaches know more about the game than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's yeah, and have for
Yeah.
years. Um, so I've been extremely fortunate with the people and the level of coaches that I've learned more in the last 20 years coaching than anybody's learned from me. There's no question. I've learned far more from them than they've learned from me.
Yeah. And I think once you get into the position where you think you know more than everyone else, that's when it kind of bites you in the ass. And
Oh,
like head
yeah.
coaches, like you said, like you surround yourself with people, and that's kind of, I think that's why you bring on assistant coaches, because they do know more about you in different, or more than you do in different areas. They all bring something different to the table, and I think you can all learn from each other. And as soon as
Yeah.
a head coach kind of goes in with that, I'm the head coach, like what I say goes, like I know it all, that's why I'm the head coach, it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I assume it doesn't work out. I don't know. I've
Right.
never I've never known enough to think that way. So
That's true. I think that's I'm the same way. If you, I don't know nearly enough to say, yeah, I know what I'm doing. This, because most days I have no clue what I'm doing. I just kind of show up
yeah,
and
yeah,
hope nobody questions me too much, and live to try again tomorrow and try and
that's right.
fool everybody, including myself, to make sure I keep my job for another day.
Oh yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah.
What, so obviously with everything kind of that went on leading up to, prior to applying for the job and ultimately getting it, what was it that made the St. Thomas job so appealing to you? Like, what stood out about, obviously still being in Fredericton area and having been there, but what was it that made it kind of seem like this was the job for you?
We've said for years. So coaching in Fredericton at Leo Hayes, we said the values of our program at Leo Hayes
Mhm.
always kind of mirrored the values that the St. Thomas program had for their basketball squads.
Okay.
So it just seemed like a good fit. For years and years and years, I've watched the coaches before Coach McLeod, Coach Dickinson,
Right.
and Coach Connors for years. I don't know. Was there anybody even before Coach Connors? He'd been there that long. I didn't know.
I think so. I think that might
No,
be.
no.
Yeah, he's been
No,
there a
no, it's
while.
Kreiner. I'm just joking that he's been there a long time.
He's getting up there.
Um,
He's getting up there in the clock. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, the values that they've brought to those programs, I always felt as though we mirrored those values at Leo Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
So our approach, our team approach, our work ethic, how we talk about process over results, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty good symmetry, to be honest, and it just always seemed to be a good fit.
Yeah. So did kind of having those similar values, obviously with just taking on like a different team and a bit of a higher level, did that kind of make that transition a bit easier for you then to kind of almost pick up where you already were with Leo Hayes and obviously kind of tailor it a bit more to St. Thomas way, but having those similar values, did that kind of make that shift a bit easier for you?
Yeah, I mean, the values are instilled in that program, right?
Mm-hmm.
At St. Thomas. Now, mind you, I had been gone from Leo Hayes for 4, maybe 5 years,
Right.
Between, but it did feel like a comfortable transition.
Mm-hmm.
I could call either of the coaches before, Coach McLeod, Coach Dickinson. I could give them a call at any time, and Fred Connors.
Mm-hmm.
At any time. So the support really from the past coaches and the coaches that are still there
Mm-hmm.
has been tremendous. And I work very, very much as a team.
Yeah. And it's kind of like if you have those values already instilled and you've kind of been around it before, it's almost like kind of riding a bike again for a while. Obviously, you're going to have your issues a bit at the start, trying to get, find your balance and find everything else and get things on track. But the end of the day, the values are very similar, so it's just kind of regaining a bit of what you had before and finding maybe a new way to approach it a little bit. But at the end of the day, if it's all kind of similar in a sense, then it's kind of should make things, I think, a bit more smooth.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, I would hope that we're always trying to tweak ways in how we give messages.
Mm-hmm.
If not, we're probably not getting better.
Right.
But so, yeah, we always try to tweak ways because what works for one guy doesn't work for another guy.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sure there was a solid adjustment period for our guys coming in with a whole new coaching staff and different approach with some things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that the transition went as well as it could have.
Yeah.
Thanks to a lot of people's support.
Right.
But
yeah, and like you said too, like with 12, 14, 16 guys on the team, you're going to have to kind of tweak your approach to 14, 16 personalities because everybody's going to handle things a little bit differently. And there's not one cookie cutter approach that's going to fit your entire roster. And you need to have that, like you said, have that flexibility and be willing to tweak your approach to meet the social needs, the physical needs, the mental needs of every player on your roster. Because if you do one approach for 16 guys, there's going to be 15 guys that it doesn't agree with, and you're going to be out the door quicker than you probably came in.
Yeah, I mean, then you're not building authentic relationships.
No.
Right? If you speak to every single person the same way, you're not building authentic relationships.
Right.
So, and that's really what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you build culture. That's how you build character. Is to build relationships.
Right.
And yeah, you need to speak to people as who they are, not as a mass.
And if you speak to them as a mass, as one person, you're not really coaching. Then you're just kind of. I don't know what you are. You're not really coaching if you're just kind of speaking to everybody at one tone, because 15 of them aren't getting the message and it's not resonating with them, and you don't know who they are as people. You may think, yeah, you've got one person paying attention, great. You've lost the plot with 15 others, and you're just kind of, hoarding them around for 12 months of the year and not really having an impact on their lives, and you're not really coaching or leading. You're just kind of giving a blanket presentation over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Yeah, I can't imagine it would work.
No, you'd be hard pressed to find a coach give a blanket statement every day and just talk the same way and have any sort of longevity in their coaching career. They'd be gone in a heartbeat.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So coming in, then obviously you had some of the values. Obviously, were still the same or similar to what you had experienced at Leo Hayes. What were some of those the challenges that you maybe had to face with, taking over a college program? Health, obviously, aside, because that probably threw things for a bit of a loop early on. But trying to get that culture to where you wanted it to be with the program, what were kind of some of the challenges you had to overcome to get it to go in the direction you wanted it to?
Well, I mean, I don't know if this has anything to do with coaching at the ACAA or CCAA level, but anytime you've got a new coach coming into a largely established group, we've got to find ways to build trust early, right? So they've got to trust what we're doing is authentic, that we have their back, and that at the end of the day, it's going to work.
Right.
So if we're able to kind of build that trust early, then you know what, then guys will go to battle. And I mean, that's not a 1 month, 2 month. I mean, that's a solid process, right? So we do spend a lot of time talking about process, and we'll continue to.
Right.
So. But we spend the bulk of our time speaking that way.
Yeah.
That if the process is good, eventually things will work out.
Yeah. I think that's one of those conversations. I think that's always ongoing. There's always going to be, you're always trying to build the trust, and then kind of you're always working to maintain it. And then every year you have new players coming in, so you're kind of repeating that process of trying to gain their trust while maintaining the trust of the returnees and building the culture with the new players and trusting the process while getting the others to continue trusting the process. So I think it's one of those things that is always continually happening, whether you're aware of it or not. Every day you're trying to keep that trust to where it was that you had.
And we try to build a level of competition too, because I mean, guys are competing, and they need to know that they're competing for roster spots, they're competing for jerseys, they're competing for playing time. Guys are focused on, like, they want to slide up the chain, slide up the rotation. But as long as, again, it's always going to come back to that trust. As long as guys are doing it for the right reasons.
Yep.
And I'm going to work my bag off today because I want to make you better, then we've started to build something that's pretty good.
Right.
So as long as that's the motive, is, you know what, I'm going to work hard because when I work hard, I know I'm making you better.
Right.
But that might not be the best thing for me all the time because I want your spot.
Right. Right.
But it's the right thing to do. It's the best thing for the program, and it'll pay off.
Right. And I think as much as trusting the players as a coach and them trusting you is important, they also have to trust each other, like you said. And like you've got to work for the right reasons. You're playing for the name on the front, as cliche as it is. As soon as you start to play for the name on the back and you start going a bit more individualistic, then it just defeats the entire process that you've tried to build, because now they're playing for their own minutes or their own whatever, and forgetting the bigger picture. And yeah, you still want guys to compete for minutes, but you want them to compete when they're in their role. You want to have them be comfortable in the role and have that healthy competition, and not a negative where they focus on themselves and they take it as a slight when they're not given what they think they deserve.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, our conversation is, listen, I mean, my only tie is to the program,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're going to do what we feel is best for the program.
Right.
And recognizing that the program is bigger than all of us,
Yep.
right? Bigger than all of us. It's going to be here far later than I am. Like,
Yep.
I'll be on long prior.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as everybody's doing the best thing for the program,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll always be in a good spot.
Right. And you look at this year for you guys went 12-6, tied for second in the regular season, ended up finishing third by tiebreaker and went to the playoffs as a third seed. But looking back kind of at the whole year, from start to finish, I mean, you guys started with the 3-0 at the Ken Gould Invitational, opened the year with 3 straight wins, and you really kind of showed that winning culture that you guys are trying to instill. Just looking back on the year as a whole, how was that kind of process for you with how everything shook down?
It was fun. I mean, it really was fun. Having a little bit of success early certainly helped our group with buy-in.
Yep.
No question. It made that easier.
Mhm.
And it very easily could have been, the switch could have been flipped. We could have been 1-2, 0-3. Very simply, we played a lot of close games this year
Mhm.
or last year.
Yep.
So, I mean, it very easily could have been the other way.
Mhm.
So it worked out in our favor to start. So that certainly helped buy in for sure.
Mhm.
And it made guys believe we were doing things the right way.
Right.
So that certainly helped foster that trust early. There's no question.
Mhm. And you guys ended up picking up at least one win over every team in the conference, which is good, which is nice kind of boost as well, because I think the ACAA is one of those leagues that I think, well, it's the CCAA as a whole doesn't get the love it deserves, but I think the ACAA, I think it's underrated when it comes to the level of talent in the league. I think Holland has kind of overshadowed it for the last little bit with their success, but then you see teams like yourself and Mount Allison this year with their run to the championship, and I think there's just a lot of talent in that league. So to beat everybody at least once is kind of a nice feather in the cap as well.
Well, I mean, the league is very underrated.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good basketball being played out here.
Yep.
We went into that tournament saying any one of these teams in that playoff
Yep.
could win that playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who played best that weekend? Mount A played the best.
Yep.
And they won. They slapped us in the second half of that semifinal game. So they deserved to win.
Mm-hmm.
But if anybody says, and we understand that we're probably for lack of a better way to put it, the little brother of the CCAA, and nobody thinks, but I don't know why they would think that.
Yeah.
Because the last number of years, Holland goes and they're annually in the top 4.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't know why anybody would think the ACAA stinks. We send a top 4 nationally ranked team.
Yep.
They come out with a medal just about every year they've gone.
Mm-hmm.
So are we underappreciated? Yeah, probably a little bit.
Yep.
Well, maybe not even a little bit, probably a lot.
Yeah.
But we've got some pretty good basketball players out here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and have a look when we've got teams that play interconference games.
Yeah.
I think we hold our own.
Yeah.
We hold our own.
Yeah, because I remember looking at the playoffs last year, the 6 teams that were in. I was like, you can make a case for all 6 of these teams to realistically win a provincial title. Like, it was that deep, and you see I believe the final, correct me if I'm wrong, was Mount Allison and Mount St. Vincent.
Oh yeah, the 2 and 4,
Yeah.
based
And
on numbers.
yeah. And I mean, you said Mount Allison took it to you guys in the second half there, and a close first half, and they just ran away in the second half. And you've got a Mount Allison or a Mount St.
Yeah, that
Vincent,
was on me. No question about it. I didn't do a good enough job in that second half.
and you're one take learning experiences from it. And now you know for next time, but then you get a Mount St. Vincent team that beats a Holland team in the semifinals, and all of a sudden it's a 2-4 final, and
Yeah.
you could have had a 5 or 6 realistically too in the finals if the ball bounced their way. But I don't know why. And the same argument goes with the AUS. I don't know why the East Coast is so undervalued and underappreciated outside of the East Coast, because I sound like a broken record, but UPEI women's team goes and wins bronze at nationals and wasn't ranked all year. And
The Dow men did okay too.
then the Dow men lead Carleton at half, and they lose by 9. But so you
Well, I mean, their starting point guard and MVP get hurt in the fourth quarter, and they probably had the toughest road of anybody in the country. The toughest 3 games.
yeah, and
What was it? BC, Ottawa, Carleton.
something like that. Yeah, I think so. Or
Yeah,
because Carleton had Western, so yeah, UBC was Western in the bronze, so they would have been Ottawa, UBC, Carleton.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
No, that's nobody's anyway.
That's a gauntlet, and then they go and lead Carleton at half, and the national highlights are all Carleton, no Dow, which is another issue altogether. But I don't know what it is about the East Coast and the lack of appreciation outside of the East Coast. I don't get it.
Now that said, I'm not worried about it.
No,
We'll play us against the world all day. Because that's an easy motivator. Us against the world's an easy motivator. But but if people don't do their homework,
it'll bite them in the ass.
Then
I think most of the East Coast would much like they see the lack of respect, and they, like you said, they use it as an easy motivator. And then when the time comes and you're playing schools from that way, and it's a wake-up call, because there's a lot of talent in the East Coast that doesn't get its due.
Now you watch, though, Tyler. You watch. So next year when we get back on the court, I said we'll end up playing somebody from out of conference, and they're like, "We'll show him." Right.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
If they want to use this to motivate themselves, they can do that too.
It's a double-edged sword, I guess. You're poking the bear at the same time as using it to motivate yourself.
That's right.
I mean, I think the whole country as a whole is underappreciated by the basketball community, but we'll get into that later on as well.
I think CCAA. The CCAA is a very, very good league.
We'll go on that now. Then we're just going to go on that because
it doesn't matter. Yeah,
we're going that way, and I think it's one I ask everybody, and I throw it in at the end, but I'm going to throw it in now because, like you said, the CCAA is a great league from Pac West all the way across. All 5 leagues are fantastic, and neither the CCAA or U Sports, even for that matter, get the level of, I think, respect and attention they deserve. I guess maybe your thoughts on why that is, and 2, any like ideas or suggestions or things that you want to see happen to kind of get that level of attention, respect to where it should be. Because I think we're going the right way. We're slowly getting there, not anywhere near the speed that I want it to. But I think we're going the right way. But just how do we get it further along the chain, if you will?
But I mean, if you look at the difference in the way that we do high school and university athletics in Canada compared to the way you do high school and university athletics in the States, it's not comparable. The funding
No.
The funding is not comparable.
Yep.
You go somewhere in the States and the high school football stadium has 20,000 people watching their football games. They've got 10,000 people watching their high school basketball teams. That just doesn't happen up here.
No.
Now, I mean, our product is very, very good. Well, at all levels.
Yep.
Right? Our coaches in Canada are amongst the best coaches in the world.
Right.
Right. And I say the same thing. Our coaches here in New Brunswick are amongst the best coaches across the country.
100%.
Right. We just don't get any love because we're not in the epicenter. Right. It's the same thing with Canada as far as globally.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, we at the national level too, we need all of our players to play.
Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's usually going to come down to money at those higher levels.
Yep.
And the funding for our programs isn't obviously comparable.
Right.
The way that alumni feel tied to the programs in the States is at a different level than the way they feel tied to our schools up here. It's just a different feeling. It's a different culture.
Right. And I think some of that alumni pull, it falls on the institutions, because I think a lot of schools don't really embrace their alumni after they're gone. And I'm not saying that's all schools. I think there's a lot of schools that do it fantastic and they keep their alumni engaged throughout. But there are some schools that just don't. They simply, once you're gone, they kind of just forget. And like, I mean, I graduated from Brock, and that was in 2015, and I didn't get my first alumni invite or anything for 5 years until a new member of joined the men's basketball coaching staff, and he said we want to engage more alumni. And I'm like, this is the first time I've heard of any sort of kind of alumni engagement, unless you are a high profile kind of person in your industry. Like when I was there, sport management, it was all about Kyle Dubas being GM of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds at the time, and then the Leafs, and then that was Dubas down your throat, and to no fault of his own. But some schools, I think, are very selective in who they engage with, and I think they're missing a plethora of opportunities with the rest of their alumni who want to be engaged but don't know how to get involved. And I think a lot of that conversation, that bus, kind of starts with the institutions as a whole.
Well, and I think, I mean, and don't get me wrong, we've got a great group of alumni that do a great job supporting, like helping me support our program.
Right.
We've got a fantastic group. But I mean, it starts with, like, what are we giving our players? What are we giving our athletes to want them, to make them feel connected forever to our program? What are we giving these student athletes who represent the university at far greater levels than a normal student? Right? They have far more responsibility than normal students because they wear it in the public. Right? They carry that weight of being a part of a program and representing a program. So what are we giving them to make them feel as though they want to give back? So, I mean, that's really where it starts, right? The more we can make them feel that sense of connectedness and reward them. Reward them financially, right? Because what they're doing, the commitments that they are making are not easy, and not everybody can do it.
No, it's not for.
So we
not
need to
for
stop pretending they're like every other student, because they're not.
And just the fact that they're wearing, like you said, they're wearing the logo, they're wearing the gear in the public eye. Majority of them are wearing some sort of branded gear, pretty much
Always.
So they're a walking billboard, walking advertisement for the university, the program, 7 days a week, whether they realize it or not. They're putting on what they think are just clothes, but it's got a St. Thomas logo right on it. So they are doing a lot more than other athletes or other students, because just by simply wearing that badge. And
100%. And the sacrifices they have to make with their social lives.
Yep.
Right? Not like it's a big sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I think we need to do a better job of rewarding these student athletes because they deserve it.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think people on the outside realize just how much goes into being a student athlete. Like, it's not just the 2 hours twice a week that you see in a game. Like, there are study halls, there's blood, sweat, tears, and workouts, in fitness testing, in practice, in heaven for, like I've said this probably a few times on this one episode alone with other coaches. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but just heaven forbid they try to work a part-time job on top of it all. And
yeah, it's not possible. Like,
and
it's
carry a full course load and be spokespeople for different parts of the college, and you're getting pulled 18 different ways, and there's only 24 hours in a day, and you've got to try and sleep at some point while you're in there too.
And most programs have higher academic standards than the university does.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. So they're not the same as every other student.
Right. Like like programs have, like if the school has, for example, a 2.5 GPA to pass, like college, the teams probably have at least a 3, at least a 3.2. Like, they have their own guidelines. And if you want to be a CCAA, like academic all-Canadian, then you're reaching even higher goals. And there's a lot that goes into the student athlete life that really isn't for everybody. And I agree with you that we need to reward and acknowledge their sacrifices and everything else that goes into it, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows at the end of the day. There's a lot of
it's hard work,
grind and hard work that goes into getting to those sunshine and rainbows every week, and then you rinse and repeat and do it again next week.
And don't get me wrong, like, it's a lot of hard work, but the work is rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
The work is rewarding. I mean, we gain an awful lot from working with these student athletes and with them being with each other, and the reward is tenfold of building relationships that you'll have for the rest of your life.
Right.
But it's these athletes who are building those relationships with each other and within the programs.
Yep. Because you're taking those friendships with you long after you're gone from the program, because at the end of the day, when you're gone, those wins and losses don't matter on your life anymore. It's the relationships you've built, the impact you've had. It's those things that you don't see that will be carried with you long after you're gone from a program. And you want to kind of embrace that and welcome back your alumni, because they gave you so much in this program. You want to give more back to them. And I think there is a bit of a gap at a lot of, and again, not every school, a lot of schools do it fantastically, but I think there's always more we can do, I think, to engage our alumni, to reward those that have given anywhere from 1 to 5 years of their life to a school, because the impact they've had, whether it's immediate or a young 6-year-old saw them at a game and 12 years later now they're at St. Thomas, for an example, because of this person, the impact lasts long after, like you said, long after they're gone from a program.
100%. 100% it does. And that's obviously the end goal, is to build lifelong relationships and have impact on people, right?
Right.
That's obviously the goal.
Right. Because the wins and losses are fun at the time, but at the end of the day, it's that impact, it's the friendships, it's the road trips, the camaraderie, the stuff you don't see that will be the most impactful, unless you want to go play pro and then you worry about those wins and losses. But Again, that's a
That's right. Yeah.
small window, and there's not everybody goes pro, and it's not for everybody. So you wanna embrace and celebrate everything else that goes along with the results, and do it as you go, and not wait till it's all done, and then try to make up for the last 5 years. We need to celebrate it continually as the years go by, and not wait till they're gone and be like, oh crap, like we should probably do something about this.
Yeah, you should be celebrating each other every day,
Yep.
right? Especially now,
Mhm.
especially now with what we're in the middle of, right?
This is when we need it more than ever. This is where you need to be
100%.
again, kind of like you guys were with the pandemic. Be proactive, not reactive. Celebrate it as you go, not wait till they're
Yeah.
gone and be like, oh well, thanks for 5 years. This is something you do every year or every
Celebrate
day
each
or
other
whatever.
every day. That's right.
And I think that's something we need to do kind of as a nation as a whole, just to kind of grow the game and celebrate it every day. Talk about the students, the human side of it, and celebrate those off-court achievements just as much as we do the on-court, because right now there's no games, so we have no on-court to celebrate. This is where we need to talk about the student side of it, and highlight them as humans and players as well, and kind of make it go hand in hand. And now's the time we need to do that again too. Just, there's nothing else going on. Celebrate it all and grow the game.
No, that's right.
And I mean, it hurts. It's painful to look and see that how underappreciated the CCAA is. And I've said countless times on this too, we can't compare ourselves to the NCAA because the money is just not there. And I get it, but it's hard not to, because you see the junior colleges and the Division twos and the threes getting all of this attention nationally. And then you come up here right next door, and even our top university level of U Sports and the CCAA, it's a struggle. And like, the CCAA is not even represented on Sport Network websites. U Sports is like 38 out of 41 listings. It's tough not to compare how things stack up, but there obviously are differences. But it's not easy to look at and be like, why can't we kind of bridge that gap a bit?
No, it's always going to come down to money.
Yeah.
The almighty dollar. So
yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but I mean, it will. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, their product is among the best in the world.
Yep.
Right. The NCAA, their product is among the best in the world. So, but it was allowed to grow to be that based on funding.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful we'll continue our trajectory. I think we'll come out of the pandemic. I think there'll be a surge in the attention level, the respect, because we may have taken it for granted, and we've gone a year and a half without it. When games come back, I hope that remains kind of consistent. Hope people continue to pay attention and not just do it once because, oh, it's back, it's the new thing, and then the next week take it for granted again. Because this year, if it's shown us anything, don't take a single thing for granted.
No, that's right. Oh, yeah. No.
Kind of getting back to St. Thomas then. Obviously, now you're a year under your belt. You had the playoff run last year and everything else going on. Obviously, you're still building your culture. It's one of those continual things that happens year after year. You're kind of making your tweaks and your changes. But when people ask you kind of about St. Thomas and St. Thomas basketball, what do you want the program to be about?
Well, building those relationships. We kind of touched on it a little bit. Having that trust, building those relationships, and doing whatever it takes to succeed in and out of the classroom and in life for our teammates. Right. So at the end of the day, and I mean, I stole this, so don't. I'll give full credit to everybody else.
Yep.
We say act like a Tommies. So appreciate, communicate together,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
So act like a Tommy. And those are building blocks that we use. We talk about it often, and I mean I think it's important to have those things that we can fall back on. So it's important to appreciate each other and celebrate each other's successes every single day.
Mhm.
It's important to have those tough conversations with each other, even though your teammate may not like it,
Right.
but they know it's coming from a good place.
Mhm.
And it's important to be together,
Right.
right? Like if we're not together, we're not going to be successful,
Mhm.
right? So it's
Yeah.
important to be together and understand that your teammate has your back no matter what.
Mhm.
Even if he disagrees with you, he's got your back,
Right. And
right? And at
again,
the end
like
of the day, we'll argue about it behind closed doors, right?
you're right.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah. And like we said too, like you're not gonna not everybody's gonna agree with everything, and you gotta kind of everybody's gonna take things a bit of a different way. Like we said, with kind of earning that trust and kind of the communication piece, like you got to kind of tailor it to everybody else. And if you had a team where everybody agreed with everything that anybody said, you would probably be Jesus, because that never happens.
No.
You're
So
not going to
yeah,
have a group of 12, 14, 16 individuals agree on everything every single time.
well, you shouldn't want that.
Right. You want to have that
Like
healthy debate.
if there's no type of like the norming, storming, forming, like if there's no storm ever, if you
Right.
don't ever have to deal with any type of adversity,
Mm-hmm.
you're really not going to accomplish much,
No.
right? There should
Right.
be adversity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, let's tackle that together.
That's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you form that togetherness. You form that T in ACT, because you come through that adversity as a group. You come out of it better for it, because now you communicated, you understood where some people stand and where others stand. You come through it together. You appreciate their opinions, their communication. They all intertwine one another. All three of those words kind of intertwine with one another, and they all work towards that big end goal. And as soon as one of those gets left behind, then yeah, you're out to lunch. You're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't care for each other as
Mhm.
people,
Right.
then we're really not going to win anything, right? Like we're not going to
Right.
win anything. We're not going to be worth a damn.
No.
So it'll always come back to that relationship building, knowing who they are as people, and understanding that. And we all have shitty days.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a bad day. Everybody has bad days,
This
right? So
and
it is what it is.
this year's been full of those bad days, because I mean
Yeah,
it's
they've been full of them.
COVID.
I know.
I mean, they're and the good days will come. Like every day, you bounce back, and you, like you said, you pick up. If you're together, you pick up those that have a bad day and drag them along, whether they like it or not. And because you have that communication, you understand where they're at, and they may need a bit of an extra push one day, and you're there as a group to bring everybody along, and no one's left behind, and everybody's better off for it.
That's right. Even on the shitty days, you've got to find things to celebrate.
Yep.
Right, and that's what we said earlier. We're learning that now more than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. If your win that day is getting out of bed because you can't go outside, then you celebrate the heck out of getting out of bed that day. If you want to celebrate that you watched 3 movies in a day, hell, celebrate it was 3 instead of 2 the other day. Just
Yeah.
we all need that little bit of a positive to get us through an otherwise unpredictable 2020 world that we live in. That we are searching for a light at the end of the tunnel that I don't know if we.
But the problem is it's becoming all too predictable. We're just glad it's almost over.
Right. That's true too.
We're on the wrong side of the prediction right now.
Right. That is true. Like I remember going into this when it was in March, and we're like, yeah, this is going to be a month and we'll be back to normal. We're now in month 9, and normal has taken the year off. So
That's right.
just stop looking for what normal used to be and appreciate everything that you have still, because normal might be gone for a while longer still, and you're going to be looking for nothing.
No, that's right. That's right.
I want to ask you about a bit about the Canada Games experiences you've had before we wrap everything up here, because I feel like the Canada Games are an interesting kind of spectacle in their own right. You've also done head coach of the basketball in the Brunswick under-17 team in 2018. You've been a part of 2 Canada Games teams, assistant coach in 2017, and head coach in 2013 that finished 4th. What were those kind of Canada Games experiences like for you as a coach?
Oh, those are special experiences, right? Those are special experiences. It is fantastic to feel part of something bigger. It is great to watch athletes in other disciplines excel in their area.
Right.
It's just great to be part of something great, and to watch excellence. That is fun to do, and it makes it easier to kind of demand that out of our own athletes,
Right.
Because they've seen it, they've lived it, and they believe that they can do it.
Right.
So those experiences, for me as a coach, well, and as a person, were great. I love those experiences.
Where were the 2 Canada Games, if I may ask, where that you coached at?
The first one, 2013, was in Sherbrooke.
Okay.
And that was fantastic because it was close enough to home,
right,
that we had a lot of fans there.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. And so personally speaking, my family, swapped houses with somebody who lived in Sherbrooke.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
we would have had, so they did a house swap. So we would have had 15 family members probably there watching. So that was special.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And there were a lot of New Brunswick flags. So it was great. And the 2017 one was special again. I mean, we had a lot of the same coaching staff as the 2013.
Right.
But this time, both of my brothers were on the 2017 coaching staff. So was, So, I mean, both of my brothers have been involved in coaching for a long time as well, and have coached at the provincial team level.
Right.
So I've been pretty fortunate in those basketball in Brunswick experiences with who I've been surrounded with. I've been pretty fortunate.
It's cool to get to kind of share that Canada Games experience with family on a staff. It's always fun to, enjoy those experiences with others, and, for the fans to come to Sherbrooke and cheer on the province with probably a lot of athletes that maybe they don't know. They're just there because they're there to support the province, and close enough where you can make a trip out of it. And I think that's the thing too with the Canada Games. You get to see different parts of the country that you may not otherwise see, and I think it really ties in that appreciation thing again. I don't think we really appreciate the level of beauty that our own country has, because we get stuck in our own little area and bubble, and you don't really realize how nice it is until you actually are out there to see it.
Well, it's amazing now, from coaching the basketball in Brunswick teams. The only province I haven't been to is Saskatchewan. Every other province I've been to coaching a national championship.
Wow.
So it's, I've
cool.
been pretty fortunate.
We
And I made it to Saskatchewan coaching one summer, actually, just not for a national championship. So I've been all over the country it's
Wow.
been a lot of fun.
I think seeing the country is something that I've always wanted to do, just because like there's so much out there that you hear about, you see pictures of it. I don't think anything will do it justice until you are able to see it with your own two eyes. And I think there's so
Right.
much that we have to offer that you don't really realize is there, and you just kind of let it pass you by.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I've said their name a couple of times lately, but I mean, basketball in Brunswick for me
Mhm.
has been incredible.
Yeah.
Because, and again, falling back on those relationships, some of the coaches that we've been involved with over the years,
Mhm.
well, they're all my best friends now, right?
Right. Mhm.
So, and again, I fall back on way smarter than I am when it comes to basketball.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, we're pretty fortunate in the group of coaches
Yeah.
we have down here. There's no question about that.
I think you've always got to surround yourself with people smarter than you, because then people don't ask you the questions. You get to learn from them, and they can educate
Oh yeah.
everyone else, and then the attention's on them. That's what I try to do. Just don't
Yeah.
be the smartest in the room. Just kind of
Yeah.
float around and just pick your brain and pick the brains and learn. Because like you said, the act like a Tommy, that you've stolen from others along the way, and I think that's what essentially I think coaching is. You kind of take those little nuggets from other people and tailor them to your own system. But I think you kind of pick up and you adopt. I think is a better word than steal. You adopt different things along the way that help kind of build your own philosophy at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, this is something else I got from Joyce Slip, who coached the UMB women's team here in Fredericton for years.
Yep.
And I was talking to her about some things. This is years ago, and she said, "John," she said, "the smart steal from the strong." So I've been stealing ever since. So
Right. So maybe you are the smartest person in the room then, because you're stealing from what you determine to be the strongest people in the room.
oh, fair enough. Well, I don't know. I don't know if anybody would classify me as the smartest in the room.
Well,
Not too
we're,
many.
we're going with that now. We're gonna spin that as a positive your way
Okay.
to make it a little better for you. Is there anything else you want to add in? Any last words? Anything that we didn't touch on that you want to bring some extra light to, whether it's St. Thomas, basketball, New Brunswick, life in general? I kind of leave maybe the last word there to you if there's anything we missed that you want to throw in there.
No, I mean, mate, just to reiterate is like New Brunswick and Atlantic Canada are doing a lot of good things in the basketball world.
Yep.
Eric Nissen's playing pro right now.
Yep.
Stanley Miambo's got a couple of championship rings out of New Brunswick at Carleton.
Yep.
Elliot Thompson,
Mm-hmm.
Nate Darling out of Nova Scotia is playing. Like just signed with the Bobcats.
Right.
Just signed with Charlotte. So
Mm-hmm.
we're doing Scotty Morrison, PEI
Yep.
boys coach with the Celtics. Right. We're doing some pretty good things out here in Atlantic
Mm-hmm.
Canada.
Yep.
At the provincial level.
Mm-hmm.
At the ACAA level,
Mm-hmm.
at the U Sport level. Yeah. And I mean, everybody who comes out here recognizes it. We just need more people to come out here. So
Exactly. And I got quick. I think New Brunswick has kind of been, I think something that they've done is what I want to see others do, is like Brad James at basketball or New Brunswick Hoops Report. I think that would be, that came up in the chat with Coach Forward as well, that what they do to bring exposure to New Brunswick is something that every province should have, because they profile everything in New Brunswick. And I think what they do is fantastic, and we need to see more of it in other provinces.
Oh yeah, no, Brad does a great job with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're lucky to have him.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah. But Coach, I want to thank you for doing this, taking the time out of your Thursday evening to do this. Really appreciate the time, and anytime you want to do it again, there is always a spot here for you.
No, 100%. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it, and hopefully just enough to come back a second time.
Oh, sure. We'll chat again. No question.